What if everything you thought you knew about reality turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg? Have you ever wondered if there might be hidden truths and realities all around us that most people never see? In this video, we'll explore some of these concealed realities and discover why facing them, while uncomfortable, is crucial for personal and spiritual growth. As human beings, we often view ourselves as separate entities, distinct from others and the world around us. We create boundaries and labels that define us as individuals, believing that we are independent and disconnected from everything else. However, when we take a closer look at the nature of reality, we begin to see that this sense of separateness is actually an illusion. At a fundamental level, we are all interconnected and part of a greater whole. Every atom in our bodies was once part of stars that exploded billions of years ago, and the air we breathe is shared by every living creature on Earth. We are not isolated beings, but rather intricately woven into the fabric of the universe. Facing this truth can be unsettling because it challenges our sense of individual identity. We may feel like we are losing ourselves or that our uniqueness is being threatened. However, recognizing our interconnectedness does not diminish our individuality. Instead, it enriches it by allowing us to see ourselves as part of something much greater than our limited self-concept. When we let go of the illusion of separateness, we open ourselves up to a deeper sense of connection and compassion for all beings. We begin to understand that what we do to others, we do to ourselves, and that our actions have far-reaching consequences beyond our immediate perception. Another hidden reality that we often overlook is the impermanent nature of existence. Everything in life is constantly changing, and nothing lasts forever. From the fleeting beauty of a sunset to the aging of our bodies, impermanence is a fundamental truth that permeates every aspect of our lives. Yet despite this truth, we tend to cling to people, possessions, and circumstances as if they will always be there. We become attached to our relationships, our material possessions, and our status, believing that they define who we are and give our lives meaning. When these things inevitably change or disappear, we experience suffering and a sense of loss. However, by accepting the transient nature of existence, we can learn to live more fully in the present moment. Instead of grasping at fleeting pleasures or fearing future losses, we can appreciate the beauty and richness of each experience as it arises. We can learn to let go of our attachments and embrace change as a natural part of life. This does not mean that we should not cherish the people and things we love, but rather that we should love them with an open heart, knowing that they are temporary gifts to be enjoyed and appreciated while they are here. By doing so, we free ourselves from the fear of loss and the suffering that comes from clinging to impermanence. One of the most profound hidden realities is the power of our own minds to shape our experience of reality. Our thoughts and beliefs have a much greater impact on our lives than most of us realize. The way we perceive the world, the stories we tell ourselves, and the meanings we assign to events all contribute to creating our unique experience of reality. This means that we have the ability to change our lives by changing our mindset and mental habits. By becoming aware of our thought patterns and beliefs, we can begin to question and challenge those that limit us or cause us suffering. We can consciously choose to cultivate positive, empowering thoughts and beliefs that support our growth and well-being. Taking responsibility for our inner world can be uncomfortable because it requires us to confront our own limitations and negative tendencies. It's much easier to blame external circumstances or other people for our problems than it is to look within ourselves for the source of our discontent. However, by doing so, we empower ourselves to make real and lasting changes in our lives. And when we recognize that our thoughts and beliefs are not fixed or absolute truths, but rather interpretations that we can change, we open up a world of possibilities. We can learn to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth, transform fear into courage, and find joy and contentment in the present moment, regardless of our external circumstances. Another uncomfortable truth that we often avoid is the existence of our shadow, the parts of ourselves that we repress, deny, or hide from others. These may include qualities or traits that we consider undesirable, such as anger, jealousy, greed, or selfishness. Most of us learn from an early age to present a socially acceptable image to the world, one that conforms to the expectations and values of our families, communities, and cultures. In doing so, we often disown or reject aspects of ourselves that don't fit that image, relegating them to the shadows of our psyche. However, denying or suppressing our shadow only gives it more power over us. When we refuse to acknowledge our darker impulses and tendencies, they tend to manifest in unconscious ways, sabotaging our relationships, goals, and overall well-being. Acknowledging and integrating our shadow is an uncomfortable but necessary part of personal growth. It requires us to confront the parts of ourselves that we would rather not see and to accept them as part of our whole being. This does not mean indulging in harmful or destructive behaviors, but rather bringing awareness and compassion to all aspects of ourselves. By embracing our whole selves, light and dark, we become more complete and authentic human beings. We learn to accept ourselves as we are, with all our flaws and imperfections, and to extend that same acceptance and compassion to others. We become less judgmental and more understanding, recognizing that everyone carries their own shadow and struggles with their own demons. Integrating our shadow also allows us to tap into a deeper source of creativity, passion, and vitality. When we no longer have to spend energy suppressing or denying parts of ourselves, we free up that energy for more constructive pursuits. We become more whole and empowered beings, able to embrace all of life's challenges and opportunities with greater ease and grace. One of the most pervasive illusions that we cling to is the belief that we can control the outcomes of our lives. We often feel that if we just work hard enough, plan carefully enough, or make the right choices, we can ensure our success, happiness, and well-being. However, the truth is that much of what happens in life is beyond our control. We cannot control other people's actions or feelings, nor can we control the myriad of external factors that influence our lives, such as the economy, natural disasters, or global events. Even our own bodies and minds are subject to forces beyond our conscious control, such as illness, aging, and unconscious biases. Accepting this lack of control can be scary and uncomfortable. It requires us to let go of our illusion of safety and security and to confront the inherent uncertainty and unpredictability of life. However, it can also be profoundly liberating. When we release our attachment to specific outcomes and instead focus on the process of living, we open ourselves up to a greater sense of ease and flow. We learn to adapt to changing circumstances, to find opportunity in adversity, and to embrace the unknown with curiosity and openness. This does not mean that we should passively accept whatever happens to us or give up on our goals and dreams. Rather, it means recognizing that while we can influence our lives through our actions and choices, we cannot control the ultimate outcome. By letting go of our need for control, we paradoxically gain a greater sense of personal power and agency. Another uncomfortable truth that we often avoid is the pervasive nature of suffering in the human experience. No matter how privileged or fortunate we may be, suffering is an unavoidable part of life that affects us all at some point. We experience physical pain and illness, emotional distress and heartbreak, and the inevitable losses that come with change and impermanence. We witness the suffering of others, both close to us and in the world at large, and feel the weight of collective traumas and injustices. Rather than turning away from suffering or trying to numb ourselves to its existence, we can learn and grow tremendously by facing it head-on. When we allow ourselves to fully feel and acknowledge our own pain and the pain of others, we develop a deeper sense of compassion, empathy, and resilience. We begin to see suffering not as a personal failing or punishment, but as a shared human experience that connects us all. We learn to find meaning and purpose in our struggles and to use them as opportunities for growth and transformation. By cultivating compassion for ourselves and others, we also create a more supportive and understanding world. We recognize that everyone is fighting their own battles, and we extend kindness and support to those who are struggling. We work to alleviate suffering where we can through acts of service, generosity, and advocacy. Ultimately, facing the reality of suffering helps us to appreciate the preciousness and beauty of life even more deeply. We learn to find joy and gratitude in the present moment, knowing that it is fleeting and uncertain. We develop a greater sense of perspective and wisdom, recognizing that even the most difficult experiences can lead to growth and transformation. One of the most fundamental hidden realities is the constructed nature of our sense of self or identity. From a young age, we begin to build a sense of who we are based on our experiences, beliefs, and social conditioning. We internalize messages from our families, communities, and cultures about what it means to be a good person, a successful individual, or a valued member of society. Over time, these messages and experiences coalesce into a relatively fixed sense of self that we take to be our true identity. We may see ourselves as introverted or extroverted, confident or insecure, liberal or conservative, based on the stories we tell ourselves and the labels we adopt. Upon closer examination, we begin to see that this sense of self is largely a mental construct, a product of our thoughts and beliefs rather than an objective reality. Our identity is not fixed or immutable, but rather fluid and changeable, shaped by the ever-shifting landscape of our lives. Seeing through the illusion of a fixed, separate self can be disorienting and unsettling. It challenges our deeply held assumptions about who we are and what defines us. However, it can also be profoundly liberating. When we recognize that our identity is a creation rather than an inherent truth, we gain the power to consciously shape and redefine it. We can let go of limiting beliefs and self-concepts that no longer serve us and embrace new ways of being that align with our deepest values and aspirations. We can also develop a more authentic and genuine sense of self, one that is not dependent on external validation or conformity to societal expectations. We learn to trust our own inner wisdom and intuition, and to express ourselves more freely and creatively in the world. Ultimately, recognizing the constructed nature of identity allows us to create a more fluid and adaptable sense of self, one that can grow and evolve over time. We become less attached to fixed notions of who we are and more open to the endless possibilities of who we can become. In our consumer-driven culture, we are constantly bombarded with messages that equate happiness and fulfillment with the acquisition of material possessions. We are told that if we just buy the right products, wear the right clothes, or drive the right car, we will finally feel satisfied and complete. The truth is that no amount of external things can ever provide lasting happiness or fulfillment. While material possessions can certainly bring temporary pleasure or comfort, they can never fill the deeper longing for meaning, connection, and purpose that resides within us all. In fact, the relentless pursuit of material gains often leads to greater dissatisfaction and suffering in the long run. We become trapped in a cycle of wanting more, never feeling like we have enough, and constantly comparing ourselves to others who seem to have more than us. True contentment comes from within, not from anything we can acquire or achieve in the external world. It arises from a deep sense of self-acceptance, gratitude, and connection to something greater than ourselves. Letting go of materialistic pursuits can be challenging, especially in a culture that places so much value on wealth and status. It may require us to confront our own insecurities and fears and to redefine our priorities and values. However, by doing so, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction and can focus on what really matters in life: our relationships, our personal growth, our contributions to the world around us. We begin to see that true wealth is not measured in dollars or possessions, but in the richness of our experiences, the depth of our connections, and the impact we have on others. We learn to find joy and fulfillment in the simple pleasures of life and to cultivate a sense of enoughness and contentment with what we already have. Perhaps the most profound hidden reality of all is the fundamental interconnectedness and unity of all life. Despite the apparent diversity and separation that we perceive in the world around us, at the deepest level, there is no division between living things. From the smallest microbe to the largest mammal, from the blades of grass to the towering trees, all of life is animated by the same essential life force. We are all expressions of the same creative energy that permeates the universe, all part of the same web of existence. This realization can be both awe-inspiring and challenging to fully grasp. It requires us to let go of our deeply ingrained sense of separateness and to embrace a more expansive and inclusive view of reality. When we begin to see ourselves as part of a greater whole, we naturally feel a sense of kinship and compassion for all beings. We recognize that what affects one part of the web affects us all, and that our well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of the entire planet. This understanding also challenges us to re-examine our relationship with the natural world and to recognize the sacredness and inherent value of all life. We begin to see that the destruction and exploitation of the environment is not just an ecological issue, but a spiritual and moral one as well. Embracing the oneness of all life does not mean that we lose our sense of individuality or uniqueness. Rather, it means recognizing that our individuality is part of a greater tapestry, a unique expression of the same creative energy that animates all things. By seeing ourselves as part of a larger whole, we can tap into a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. We can find strength and resilience in our connection to all of life, and can work towards creating a more harmonious and sustainable world for all beings. We've explored some of the hidden realities that we often avoid facing in our daily lives, from the illusion of separateness to the pervasiveness of suffering, from the power of our minds to the oneness of all life. These truths can be uncomfortable and challenging to confront. As we've seen, facing these realities is essential for genuine personal and spiritual growth. By bringing awareness and acceptance to the deeper truths of existence, we can free ourselves from limiting beliefs, cultivate greater compassion and resilience, and tap into a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. Of course, exploring these concepts is a lifelong journey, one that requires ongoing curiosity, openness, and a willingness to step outside of our comfort zones. It's not always easy, but the rewards are immeasurable. I encourage you to continue exploring these ideas in your own life, to question your assumptions and beliefs, and to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth and transformation. Remember that you are not alone in this journey. We are all in this together, all part of the same web of existence. As you go forward, may you find the courage to face the hidden realities of life with an open heart and a curious mind. May you discover the joy and liberation that comes from living in alignment with your deepest truth, and may you help create a world that reflects the inherent unity and sacredness of all life.